In this lesson, we're going to find out how to refresh data inside Power BI. For the purpose of this demonstration, we'll be getting our data from a SQL Server. To get the data from a SQL Server, we click on Get Data and choose SQL Server. The SQL Server that I'll be using lives on my local machine. So on the SQL Server name, I'll be typing in localhost. We'll be using import mode for this instance. Once we do the testing, we'll go back and we'll import another table using direct query to see how these two differ from each other. So for now, I'm just going to press OK and wait for the navigator to show up. From the list with databases, I'm going to choose AdventureWorks Data Warehouse 2014. And there's a table called Power BI that I've specifically designed for this demo. It's only got one row currently. I'm going to press load. I'm going to add all the available columns inside a table. So I'm going to take customer, date, ID, revenue inside one table. I'm going to increase the font size of all the values so it's readable and you guys can better see what exactly we're showing. So text size will be 12 pixels. 12 pixels on the values, 12 pixels on the column headers. Perfect. Now, we're going to add another row inside our data source. Unfortunately, our data source is a SQL Server, which falls outside the scope of this project. However, I'm just going to go back to SQL Server Management Studio, and I'm going to execute a script. So this is the script that would populate our Power BI table with an additional row. On the value side, we're going to change it to 2. We're going to change John Doe to Stephen Williams. Stephen Williams, his revenue will be 25,000. We're going to press F5. And then we can see that we've got Stephen Williams as a second record inside our table. This is perfect. Now let's go back to our model. So here, it contains the old metadata, which was from a few seconds ago. So unfortunately, the refresh has not occurred inside the Power BI file. In order for us to get the new data, we need to press on the refresh button here. So the refresh button will go back to the SQL Server, it will check for new data, and if there is, it will load the new data inside our data source. So now, as we can see, we've got 2 rows of data available. This is perfect. So this is how the import mode works. Let's see with direct query how things are going to be different and if they're going to be different in the front end of Power BI Desktop. So we're going to go to Get Data. Again, it will come from SQL Server. Our data connectivity mode will be direct query. So we'll choose direct query. The local server is localhost. Click OK. Again, we're going to choose the Power BI table. So the Power BI table is here. We're going to press load and it's going to load directly inside our model. Okay, there's potential security risk. We're absolutely fine with this. This is only a demo dashboard, so there's no potential security risk here. So I'm going to click OK. And it's going to create the connections between the table. So perfect, we've got Power BI 2. So Power BI 2 is our live data source. Okay, now let's add some data here. So we're going to add another row. So it will be number 3 as ID. Stephen Williams will become Sean Scott, and his revenue is only 20,000. We're going to press F5. So we've got the 3rd record. We're going to go back to the Power BI file. So this is the table that contains the old refresh. Well, not the old refresh, it contains the import mode. Now we're going to create a table from the live connection. Okay, so we're going to add all 4 columns inside a new table. Add them, and I'm going to position this table next to our current table. From what we can see, we already have 3 rows available, so this means the live connection is working. So let's increase the font size just to make them even. So column headers 12, values 12 pixels as well. Perfect. So now we can see that the live connection is definitely picking up the data as it's supposed to. With the import mode, we need to press refresh if we want to get that 3rd row. So once we click refresh, The table that comes from the import mode will get the third row within a few seconds, and this will even out both of our tables. This is fine. So this is how these two tables look like. Let's investigate the data real quickly. If you go to the data view, so Power BI table looks fine. However, Power BI 2, I'm not too sure. Okay, this table uses direct query and cannot be shown. Exactly. Tables using direct query, unfortunately, cannot show any of the data inside the data view. This is something that you guys have to trust and just go with the flow really, or use an alternative program to manage your data, such as SQL Server Management Studio. From there, you can browse your data and play with your data. So this was our lesson to refreshing data inside Power BI. We'll see each other in our next lesson.